Thank you for listening to this screencast about high-crest progress reporting and the report card. This information is information that will help you in understanding what the report card will look like this school year. As we begin, please take a second and pause the recording. Think about what the letter grades A, B, C, D, and U signify to you without using numbers. As we have talked to parents throughout the last 2 years, it has become evident that A signifies that students are doing really well in the class and may be going even further than what is expected. B generally means that the students are doing well and could use some improvement in some areas. A C means that students are doing well but may not be meeting all of the objectives for class. And D's and U's signify to parents that students are struggling in the class and may need some intervention as a result. We'll get back to this a little bit later in the program to help you understand how we made decisions about the letter grades that we will be including on our report card. First, here's the agenda for this report. We'll give you a little background information. We'll share with you the reporting document and the components of the report card for this year, as well as our reporting timeline and what you can expect throughout the year. First, let's begin with background information. In 2008, we revised our progress reporting at a district level. In 2008, at Highcrest specifically, we aligned our instruction to standards and paid more attention to what each standard was for each unit that we were addressing and assessing in our classes. We really adopted standards-based practices across the curriculum at Highcrest Middle School. In 2017, the elementary school went back to their report card and made revisions. For this report card, they included different priority standards or standards for each content area, and on that they are marking them with an M for meets, a P for progressing toward the standard, and an E for experiencing difficulty. In 2018, there were proposed Highcrest Middle School revisions to the report card, and these revisions included a standards-only report card reported much in the same way as the elementary school. However, we gathered feedback about these changes, and it was apparent to us that the community as a whole preferred to have a letter grade on the report card along with the extra information that standards would provide. For this reason, we met with parents and parent focus groups, and we met with staff in order to better define our components of the report card. And this is what is being implemented this year. Current practices that we have that are standards aligned since 2008. We have included these practices on our reporting and through our instruction as well. We separate achievement from behaviors, which includes homework completion. This means that the letter grade that you get for your child's progress indicates what they know and are able to do in the class, without homework being counted in and without other behaviors or disciplinary infractions being counted into the grade. We want a clear picture of what students know and are able to do in each content area so we can intervene accordingly. Students are evaluated on their own individual progress, not as compared to class. Back in the old days, there were bell curves used to define who got A's, B's, C's, and so forth. We no longer use bell curves. This has been a practice that we have had for many years at Highcrest and across the district. So students really are graded and marked on their individual progress. We use a system for assessment, including both formative assessments, which might be like an exit slip or a quick quiz or something like that to help inform instruction, as well as summative assessments, which may be a larger unit exam or a big project that students must turn in and complete or present to their class. Oftentimes, the summative assessments are graded using rubrics. Our assessments are high quality and are aligned with our standards for instruction. Over the past 3 or 4 years, teachers have really been digging into their assessments to ensure that we are assessing what we value as important and what we are mandated to teach through our standards. So assessments are aligned and students will receive feedback according to where they are progressing with respect to the standards on all assessments. When we look at standards and how students are progressing, we look at the most frequent or most recent evidence. This is used when marking student progress. We'll talk about this in a little while, but the whole thought behind this practice is that students will take time to understand certain topics, and so we would not expect a student at the start of an instructional period to know everything about that standard of instruction. Therefore, we would evaluate based on the most recent evidence or most frequent evidence of how that student is progressing. Assessments will vary from projects to essays to traditional tests. Rubrics are often used, as we mentioned before, and they are reviewed with students prior to any assessments so that they know what is expected and they have some stake in the game. In District 39, our purpose of reporting is to provide a communication framework among students, parents, teachers, and administrators to foster each student's academic growth and development of learner characteristics. In the past, while we included an achievement grade and we included information about learner characteristics, we did not have a full set of information, or that information varied from teacher to teacher on how we could really target each student's academic growth. This was often done through comments. However, looking at that practice, we wanted to be more specific with the standards that we are teaching in class and our instructional practices, and really allow for more conversation and feedback for each student's individual academic growth. Through this new report card, our goal is to give all parents and all students information about what students know and are able to do in a given class, and accurate information targeted to the standards for that content area. We want to be able to share with students and parents where students have strengths, where they are progressing toward the ultimate goal, and where they may need support or extra study. We also want to be able to report on a student's learning behaviors, such as, are they prepared for class? Are they finishing their homework? Are they bringing the materials that they need? Are they self-directed? Are they managing their time well? Are they taking the initiative to get assignments done or to ask questions of their teachers? We also want to be able to give some summative information based on the standards about a student's overall performance over a period of time. That summative information will be in the form of a letter grade, and that will give an accurate picture of how the student is progressing on all of the standards for a given content area after a semester period of time. Most importantly, our goal is to focus on the learning that is taking place in every classroom at Highcrest Middle School. So, what will this look like and how will it be different from years past? Here you see the sample format of the report card for social studies. All of the classes your child takes will be listed on one document with different boxes for each content area. So, in this example, you'll see the learner descriptors at the top. Engaged learner. Is your student participating in class? Are they asking questions? Are they participating in group work? What are they doing as part of the process of learning on a daily basis in class? Prepared learner. Are they bringing their things to school with them? And self-directed learner. Are they taking the initiative? Are they managing their time? And how are they working in groups? Secondly, you see priority standards. These are standards that are overarching standards for that content area. Teachers have looked at all of their standards of study and all of their learning targets throughout the entire year, and they have grouped them so that they are easy to understand and so that they can give you the most feedback possible in each area that they will be studying this year. Finally, on the report card, you will see an achievement grade for semester 1 and semester 2. And then students, not all students, but many students will receive a comment in the comment box. These comments will be personalized for the students and really target areas where they might be over excelling or working at a higher level, or where they might be struggling or experiencing difficulty. We have 3 components that are included on the report card. The process components include the learner behaviors: engaged, prepared, and self-directed. The progress components include the priority standards. They will be marked as to how a student is progressing or demonstrating mastery in a given area. And the product will be an achievement grade, marked with a letter grade. This will be a summative grade for the semester of work. Let's dig in a little bit more deeply. The process, which are those learner behaviors, will be marked with a 3 for consistently, a 2 for sometimes, or a 1 for seldom. This is the same as you have experienced in years past. So, if your student is engaged, prepared, and self-directed, on a consistent basis, they will receive 3s in these areas. If it's sometimes occurring, they will receive a 2, and if it is seldom occurring, they will receive a 1. This is a great time to have a conversation with your child about the learner behaviors that he or she is exhibiting in class. If there is something that is below a 3 in one of these classes, you'll want to have a conversation with your child and perhaps your child's teacher about how we can improve those processes. Progress, which are the priority standards, will be marked with a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. This is different from the elementary school, where they are marked with an M, a P, or an E, but you will see that there are similarities. Just like at the elementary school, the 1 means that the student is experiencing difficulty toward the standard. There may be some struggles with actually making progress, and your teacher will work with you to figure out how to intervene appropriately. A 2 is progressing towards standard. So again, similar to the elementary school, that would be the P statement that you would receive. If students are making good progress, haven't quite mastered the standard, but are on their way there, they will receive a 2. A 3 is meeting standards. So the student has met all of the assessment data and really understands that standard at a mastery level. And then a 4 means that student has taken it to the next level. They are extending and applying standards independently in new and different ways. As a general rule, you will want to expect 3s on the report card for the standards. However, students will be occasionally extending and applying standards, and teachers will mark this accordingly. If your student is progressing toward a standard, and especially at a progress reporting level, or if the whole entire segment of instruction has not been completed, then you might see a 2, which is perfectly okay. Again, if your child is experiencing difficulty toward the standard, this is the time when you would want to talk with the teacher and the entire instructional team on how that student can be supported, both in school and out of school. Finally, our 3rd component is the product grade. That's the achievement grade. And this is a summative measure, so will show up on report cards. However, it will not be listed on the progress reports. So in November, when you go to conferences, you will see a progress report that has the progress marks that we just reviewed on it. However, the letter grade will only be at a semester time, which is the end of the summative grading period. The product is an A, which means the student has mastered grade level standards and may have extended in some areas. A B, which means that the student has mastered some grade level standards and is making progress in some areas. A C, meaning the student is making progress overall, but may be experiencing difficulty in some areas. And a D signifies that the student is experiencing difficulty in most or all areas. We chose not to include a U on this report card because after talking to many parents, The feedback that we received was that a D and a U signified to all parents that the student is struggling, and that it was not necessary to have two different marks to explain the same thing. That's why we kept it at 4, and we will use those in the way that is explained on this slide to indicate your child's summative progress at the semester level. You may ask how this will give you more information about your student and your child's progress. Take a look. If you received a report card, such as you have in the past, you're getting some information. For example, you'd get a grade for math that would be a B, and you'd have some learner behaviors. They're consistently engaged, so that would be marked with a 3, consistently prepared, marked with a 3, and sometimes self-directed, marked with a 2. Think about what information this gives you. Based on discussions that we have had with other parents, the B gives you information that your child is doing okay and may need to improve in some areas. And the learner behaviors tell you that the child is showing some engagement, showing preparation, but may need some help with some self-direction. A different example could be including product and progress. So you'd have an achievement grade for math, and then maybe you'd have an outline, and sometimes this has appeared in comments, of what was covered during that grading period. So you might have a B for math, and the teacher might share with you that you reviewed the number system, ratios and proportional relationships, geometry, and expressions and equations. That's enough information. However, we want to fully explain all 3 areas: process, product, and progress. So you'll see at the top of this report card sample, again, this would be an example of what you will see at the reporting time after second quarter, so at the semester. Learner descriptors: prepared, engaged, self-directed. And those are marked with a 3, a 2, and a 3 for this student. Then you will see math standards broken up by different topic areas. And you'll see some 3s and 4s for this student. You'll also see dashes. The dashes will indicate that this particular standard has not been assessed yet. And so the teacher is unable to give a mark on how the student is meeting or progressing toward the standard. Finally, you'll see an achievement grade. This student, because he or she is meeting and sometimes extending the standards, received an A in achievement for this class. This is able to share with parents what is upcoming for future units of report cards or for future units of study in math. And it's also able to tell the parents where their child is really extending standards and where they're mastering standards. Here's an example of the timeline for our reporting system this year. In November, at the end of quarter 1, you will receive a progress report and you will have a conference with your child. Conference signups are coming out soon. Be on the lookout. At these conferences, your teachers will talk about the different standards for their class and content areas, and they will talk about your child's progress with respect to that class. This conference is meant as a way for you to go back to your child and share the feedback that you have learned and to help encourage them in areas where they may need some extra support or extra challenge, as the case may be. At the end of semester 1 in January, you will receive a full report card. On this report card, you will receive a summative letter grade, the A, the B, the C, or the D. This summative letter grade is an indication of how the child has progressed over the course of the entire semester in that class. At quarter 3 in April, again, you will receive a progress report. There is an error on this screen, but there will be a progress report without a summative letter grade. The progress report will again show process and progress. And it's an opportunity again for you to reflect with your child on how the student is doing. Finally, at the last semester in June, You'll receive again the full report card with the summative letter grade. We have an opportunity for you to ask questions of us about the different things that we have included in this report. In the email that you are receiving with this screencast, you will also receive a link to the Parent Progress Reporting for HighCrest website. On this website, you will receive resources, and we will list the questions that you ask on a Google Doc, and we will check back frequently to answer those questions. We appreciate your time and your patience through this process, and we look forward to gathering your feedback through each step of the way. Have a great day. Thanks.